August comes around, football fans get very excited. Not only is it the start of the NFL season, but it's also time for fantasy football leagues to begin their drafts. Fantasy football was created in 1962 by three men who thought it would be a fun idea to be able to gain points off of player statistics and compete against other people. Over the years, fantasy football has become a multi-million dollar, billion-dollar industry with tens of millions of people playing. I want to do this speech because I feel that some may be interested in playing fantasy football, but they just don't know how to. So I'm going to, in this speech, I'm going to just kind of step-by-step of how to play fantasy football. So first of all, why play? Many people play because it's another way just to get involved with football. They love the sport so much, and this is just something else to do with it. They also join a fantasy football league to be in a social group where they can talk with their friends about football and also compete against them. And another reason, which is kind of like the main reason why I like to play, is because it gives you reasons to watch other NFL games so you can see how your players are doing for other teams. So you're not just watching your own team every week. So first, participants need to join a fantasy football league. They can either join over the internet via ESPN, CBS, or Yahoo, just to name a few. They can join a league with strangers, or they can join a league with friends. Usually it's between 8 to 16 participants in each league. And it's better to have an even amount of participants in a league, so that way nobody has to set out 1 week. Once they've joined the league, they've now become what we call owners. So once you're in a league, a draft date should be scheduled. The league commissioner can pick the order of the draft, or they can click a button that will randomize the draft order. Before the actual draft starts, many owners like to take time to just kind of prepare by looking up fantasy football rankings on the internet. It tells them who they should pick first and who is not as good as the other people in fantasy football. That way you know what round you should pick these players in. During the draft, usually each owner will have at least 1 minute to pick their players. The computer will show on one side who has been picked already, and on the other side will show who hasn't been picked, so you can kind of know who's available, who's not available. During the draft, you will pick 9 starters and between 5 to 7 bench players, depending on what your league allows. Your starters will be 1 quarterback, 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers, 1 tight end, 1 kicker, and 1 defense. You'll also pick a position known as flex. The flex position, you can either have a running back, a tight end, or a wide receiver in that position. So after the draft, owners can now either trade their players with other owners, or they can pick free agents from a free agent pool. And that just means that they were never drafted and anybody can pick them up. So now that the owners have their teams, they have to set their lineups each week before the start of the games. A good idea would be to understand the league scoring system. That way you kind of know who can give you more points, either quarterback, running back, wide receiver. And so, for example, in most leagues, if a quarterback throws a touchdown, then you will get 6 points. So if I have, say, Drew Brees, and he threw a touchdown for me, that means my team will get 6 points. It's the same way for a running back, a tight end, or a wide receiver. If they score a touchdown, they'll get, like I said, most leagues they'll get 6 points. The difficult part is choosing who to start. What you do is, on your computer screen, you'll have a list like this. And on the computer, it will show you who to pick from your starters and then to your bench. What you need to do, there's a few things that you have to think about before you choose who's going to start. First is, who is your player playing? Is the defense easy or is the defense hard? Because if they're easier, then it might be a good idea to actually start your player. The other would be the health. If your starter may not play just because he's hurt, then you should definitely put in your bench player who will give you more points. The overall goal is to choose who will get you the most points for that week. At the end of the Monday Night Football game, the most points added up will win. So, on your computer screen, it will show this. It will show your team and your opponent's team. Here, they'll add up these scores and add up these scores. And whoever at the end of that week has the most points, then that team will win. Weeks 1 through 13 of the regular NFL season will also be the regular season for your fantasy football. The week 14 through 17 of the NFL regular season will be your fantasy football league's playoffs. They don't do fantasy football into the actual NFL playoffs because many teams will not be playing, so a lot of your players won't actually be in playoffs playing. So that's pretty much how you play fantasy football. Just in conclusion, I just feel like it's a really fun sport to play. People choose to play just because they like football, and it's just something else, to get involved with. They like to compete with their friends and just, be social. They can talk about trades, talk about who's doing well, who's not doing well. And just like I said, I think the best part of playing fantasy football is that, you're not only just watching your team every week, you have an investment into other teams and how they're playing. If your team is playing for, say who's the worst team right now, say the Washington Redskins, they're 0-3. You may usually not watch that game, but now that you have their quarterback, Robert Griffin, then you may want to watch it. So I just feel like, hopefully this shows you how to play, and if you are interested, maybe next year you'll play. All right, thank you.